Mary the Elephant Execution by Hanging. A story stranger than fiction. One of the most heinous crimes committed by the West against an animal is the crime of executing the elephant Mary. The hero of the story, Mary, a female elephant who worked in a popular circus in the United States called Sparks in 1916. She was touring the United States with a circus that had bought her and trained her to perform acrobatic shows. She began to roam the streets of the American states and move between them. The trainers began touring the streets with the circus animals and promoting their upcoming show, encouraging people to buy tickets and enter to attend a show that was scheduled to be held in the city of Kingsport, and the unfortunate elephants were among those animals. On September 11th, one day before that show, they appointed a new guard named Red Eldridge to take care of her and watch over her, and to continue to present her as a show animal for the audience, performing acrobatic acts. The new trainer decided to train her in his own way, forcing her to obey his orders, but the guard was inexperienced, so he began to beat her and deprive her of food and drink. All he had to do was point, and she had to comply. The trainer carried a stick with a pointed head at the end that looked like a spear. He walked in front of her like a commander leading an army. Whenever Mary made a move that did not please the trainer, he poked her with the stick that looked like a spear. During the promotional show, Mary saw a watermelon rind thrown on the side of the road. She stopped to eat it. The trainer poked her and ordered her to walk, but she did not comply. He hit her. To no avail, so he poked her in the mouth with his sharp stick. The elephant went crazy and lost her reins. She hit the trainer hard and threw him to the ground and trampled on his head with her foot. His skull exploded, and his blood splattered on the ground. She did not stop there, but she sat on him as well. Panic spread in the place. People fled. Frightened screams rose, calling for the elephants to be killed. Some opened fire, which had no effect on the elephants. They did not get up from him until the police arrived and dealt with the incident in their own way, controlling the elephants and moving them away from the trainer's body. The story did not end here. Rather, other more terrifying events began to unfold. Thousands of people gathered the next day and demanded that she be put on trial. For your information, trying animals was a normal thing until the middle of the last century. The people of the city revolted, demanding retribution from the elephants, some of whom demanded that they be shot, some of whom called for electrocuting them until they died, and some of whom demanded that their limbs be tied to two trains traveling in opposite directions, so that they would be torn apart and taste the same cup of pain that I had inflicted on the trainer. As the voices insisting on punishment rose, the circus owner realized that he would inevitably lose the price of his elephant, so he suggested that she be executed by hanging on a crane designated for lifting trains, in another city, which he intended to visit to perform circus shows there, and instead of paying for the crane, the public was allowed to witness the entire hanging process in a public place and for free. Indeed, crowds of people gathered on September 13, 1916 inside the Clinchfield Railroad Square to witness its execution. Before the hanging, the elephant's legs were tied with thick metal rings so that they would not resist, and a thick metal chain was tied around their necks, and the hanging process began. The elephants began to rise from the ground, and the audience began to hear their legs tearing under the pressure of the metal rings on them. The hanged elephants reached a height of about 1.5 meters, and something unexpected happened. The chain around their necks broke and the elephants fell to the ground. Their legs and pelvis were broken and they began to suffer excruciating pain. Despite that, they were retied again with a stronger and thicker chain than the previous one, and they were raised again to continue the hanging until death. The elephants were seen hanging, suffering the pains of slow death amidst the screams of the audience joy and encouragement. She was left hanging by her neck for a full half-hour, until the order came from the veterinarian to lower her. She was examined and declared dead. The audience shouted happily because they claimed that justice had taken its course. She became the first elephant to be executed by hanging in history. It is said that the number of spectators that day reached more than 2,500 American citizens. They were extremely happy that they succeeded in taking revenge on her. The elephant died, and the circus owner gained a huge audience that guaranteed their attendance at the next show. The elephant died without defending itself, or finding anyone to defend it. It could not tell those demanding punishment that he hit me in the painful spot in my mouth, so I lost my mind and took revenge on him. The elephant's body was sent for an autopsy. There was a swollen ulcer in her mouth, which was causing her excruciating pain. The doctors also noticed a deep wound in the middle of the ulcer, which was caused by hitting the elephants with a sharp, pointed tool, which was the stick that the trainer was carrying and prodding the elephants with. No one cared about the statements of the doctor who examined her body, who stated that she had been subjected to horrific torture by the guard before his death.